Ah, smart water. Pure, crisp taste.
That's really good water.
It's the kind of water that says, I have my life together.
I do feel more sophisticated.
Smart water. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
The Roses were living the dream.
To you, my darling.
No, to you.
Until it all came crashing down.
You got fired.
Fired?
On August 29th, stop.
You stop!
And see The Roses. Rated R. In theaters everywhere, August 29th.
Getting ready to step into your career era? Set yourself apart with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Hone your skills with apps like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere Pro, and more, powered with the latest in creative AI. Students save over 55% so you can build a portfolio you're proud of. Launch your future with Adobe Creative Cloud Pro for students. Visit adobe.com/students to learn more.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to this edition of There Can Only Be One, the podcast that puts together the all-star best-of playlists of your favorite bands and artists, and a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Hello to all of our listeners in Newark, Delaware, and around the world. I truly hope that you are ready for a funktastic voyage, because we are covering the long, and I'm going to make everyone feel old here for a second, and probably the members of the band especially, 41-year journey of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And here to join me for this journey, now suddenly feeling very, very, very old, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing?
Can I just ask, when you said covering, now was that with a sports sock?
Oh, dear God. You're going to put that image into everyone's head right now, right?
My question is, actually, it's more of in awe of how they got the socks to stay on.
If they use Gorilla Glue, I am so scared.
Staples? I've seen how Flea jumps around on stage, and the fact that
it stays there?
He didn't lose his sock.
I mean, if Harrison Ford can staple the fedora to his head when doing Indiana Jones, then maybe Flea stapled. I don't know.
Ooh.
We're off to a bright start, aren't we here? Talking about stapling socks to the nether regions of bass players around the world. And don't you get any ideas. I'm not doing that.
Maybe an elastic?
Ow. Does that make it like a cock ring at that point?
I'm just questioning. Inquiring minds want to know.
I'm questioning how we got off the rails so fast on this episode.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Oh, dear God. Okay, so if you haven't listened to the show before, I'm sorry that this is your first episode that you're jumping into, and all of a sudden you're sitting there questioning all of your life choices by hitting play on this episode. But I'm glad you did, because we are about to go through a very fun journey. We're about to go through all 14 studio albums from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. As always, we are not covering any live compilations, best ofs, or soundtracks that the Chili Peppers are on, which means that some songs, some big songs, don't actually qualify for this show, including songs like Soul to Squeeze, Love Roller Coaster, and Fortune Faded. Those are some... I'm going to be very honest. This is one of those ones where I'm kind of hurting, because I love Soul to Squeeze.
I thought you were going to say I love Roller Coaster.
Roller Coaster.
Oh.
No. I mean,
No.
it's a good cover. Don't be wrong. And I've heard the original, and the Chili Peppers version is better than the original. No, I loved Soul to Squeeze, but it doesn't qualify. Luckily, this isn't one of those situations where Soul to Squeeze would have been my only one song. That would have been heartbreaking, because there are episodes where I don't get to pick my favorite song from the band because it was only on a soundtrack. Looking at you, The Cure. Not okay after that. But I'm okay with this one here. And we're going to start 41 years ago with the self-titled debut album from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, released August 10th, 1984. The band at this point is Anthony Kiedis on vocals, Flea on bass, Jack Sherman on guitar, and Cliff Martinez on drums. So 41 years ago, this album drops. Carrie, what's your pick from their self-titled debut album?
My pick is Out in LA. This could totally be like, I don't know, in like a flashy, like cops and robbers type show. And you know what? It's a bassy, like, just fantastic. Really great song.
I mean, we're probably going to be saying it's really bassy a lot because we are talking about Flea, one of the most bass front heavy bass players in the game today. The Chili Peppers have never kind of hid the fact that they are bass front and bass heavy. But I had troubles with this album. I'm not going to lie, trying to lock into something. I had Buckle Down as my shortlist song, but I'm going with a song that going to draw some weird comparisons. But hear me out. Because this song reminded me of Lunatic Fringe by Tom Cochrane and Red Rider and Eye in the Sky by the Alan Parsons Project. And that's very cinematic. It's very atmospheric. I'm going with Grandpappy Du Plenty. But this kind of fits into my wheelhouse. You know, the Alan Parsons Project. And by the way, if you have no idea what songs I just mentioned, go back and watch like old school Chicago Bulls when Michael Jordan was playing with them, and that song that would always come on when the Bulls would take the court. That is Eye in the Sky by the Alan Parsons Project. This song kind of reminded me of that, but I mean, obviously we're not at that lineup that we all recognize as being the classic, like the go-to lineup for the Chili Peppers with Anthony Kiedis, Flea, Chad Smith on drums, and John Frusciante on guitar. This is that initial, formation of the band, but you do hear some of what would eventually become the Chili Peppers sound, but it is a bit of a mishmash album. We now move on to Freaky Styley, released August 16th, 1985. The album is actually produced by George Clinton of Parliament Funkadelic fame. Of course it was. We have a member change at this point. Jack Sherman is out and Hillel Slovak is on guitar. The album is silver in the UK. There were two singles off of this one, Jungle Man and Hollywood Africa. So from Freaky Styley, this is not my favorite album by any stretch of the imagination. It's definitely not my favorite album. I think you'll be surprised at what my favorite album is, because it's probably not the album that you think it's going to be, but this isn't it. But I'm going with The Brothers' Cup. I mean, and this is one of those ones that Flea just carries the entire song. But I find that Anthony Kiedis shines vocally on this one. I did have Jungle Man as my short list, but The Brothers' Cup is the one that really stood out for me. Off of Freaky Styley, what did you go with?
I went with Yertle the Turtle. It was funny. It was groovy. It was rappy. It was everything. You know, back in the 80s when rap told a story, and it just has this fun little story that it takes you on. It doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. I literally looked at the lyric sheet and I'm like, okay, I mean, I see they're introducing the band, but anything else just, whoo, these words rhyme. Let's put them together.
You know, it's interesting, right? Because I mean, the Chili Pepper sound obviously has evolved over those 40 plus years. So in going back and listening to some of these very, very early albums, do you find it interesting to hear like the very rap heavy presence of Anthony Kiedis on these early discs in comparison to what they would eventually become?
It's so fun to go back because that's when music was good or rap told a story. Like, think about when rap was fun and it told fun little tales. Like, I'm talking like DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince and Vanilla Ice even. I know we covered Vanilla Ice and we talked about like the stories that he tells in his music.
Yeah, there's a song on that first album that could just very well be a National Lampoon's movie unto itself, and I would totally watch that film. Right,
but you know, it kind of takes you back, and it you see how music has evolved, and you know, rap metal and became like more, you know, thrash metal or new wave. So I kind of miss those days. Like, I almost wonder if a band were to a rap artist were to come out with the same type of sound now, if it would be well received, or it'd be kind of like, what are you doing? Go back to the 80s, friend. The time is done. I don't know. It was fun. It was a fun time. Lyrically, the songs didn't have to make sense. As long as they kind of rhymed and had a great beat, you would sing along. And, I mean, the Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump.
I love that song. I so unironically love that song. But you're right though. I mean, like that is very much that's like peak good radio friendly rap. Like I can't hate that song. There's no way I can actually hate that song. And really anything, like even something like Third Base, the Gas Face, right? Like tell me that wasn't like just catchy as hell.
I can't remember exactly which song it was, but I remember I was telling you the story that I recently heard a song, and I know this was, in every dance club in the mid 80s. And listening to it now in my grumpy ass adult, like, get off my lawn kind of mindset.
Pull up your pants and get off my lawn.
It has this backing track, and it is consistent throughout the entire song, and it goes, "Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah," and I'm just like, I could not get past the backing track, and it was annoying the crap out of me
because everyone was too busy dancing back in the day. And then you go back and listen and go, oh. Well, I mean, like, do you remember the Primitive Radio Gods in the 90s, right? And they had that song Sitting Outside a Phone Booth with Money in My Hand. And that gets played all the time on Sirius. And hearing it then, it's like, okay, this is different. It's interesting. And yeah, I bought the CD because it was different and interesting. And then you hear that song later and it's like, this was a boring ass song. Music has changed. So do the Chili Peppers, though. But you do start to see that the evolution of what the sound would become already to this point.
And that's kind of, to rewind back, like, I listened to the Serious Red Hot Chili Peppers channel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because of that channel that I pitched Red Hot Chili Peppers. I am like, they have so many different styles and different sounds. And I really wanted to do a deep dive because on any given album, no two songs ever sound the same.
It's funny because that channel exists. And now there's an episode of There Can Only Be One on the Red Hot Chili Peppers. There's Bon Jovi Radio on Sirius XM, and we've covered Bon Jovi. There's a Tom Petty channel, and we've covered Tom Petty. I feel like Dave Matthews Band has to be up next because there's a Dave Matthews Band channel. By the way, Sirius. Let's get serious here. You wanted There Can Only Be One channel. Just make it happen. Just give us a call. You know what to do. The Uplift Mofo Party Plan, released September 29th, 1987. Another member change. Cliff Martinez is out on drums. Jack Irons now on the skins. The album hit number 148 on the Billboard 200, is certified gold in the US. And there was one single off this one, Fight Like a Brave. So again, now we're getting more into that proper Red Hot Chili Peppers sound. And I remember, when this album was out, like Freaky Styley and the self-titled album, those were first listens for me. I remember this album. I remember it getting some radio play and getting some notice and seeing it in people's cassette collections. Yeah, I said cassette. 1987, of course I said cassette. So off of the Uplift Mofo Party Plan, say that 5 times fast, what did you go with?
Can I just say I love the title? I love the Uplift Mofo Party Plan. I also love the title of the song that I picked, which is No Chump Love Sucker. I'm sure I'm not saying that to the beat of the song because it is kind of a thrashy song, but I absolutely love it. I'm here for it. Fight Like a Brave, though. It's funny because I did grow up listening to Red Hot Chili Peppers, but Fight Like a Brave was one song that I kind of doubled back, or I found much later in, kind of doing a deeper dive. of Red Hot Chili Peppers, and it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I definitely, there was just something about No Jump Love Sucker that that stood out, and it's not just because of the title.
You also picked Yertle the Turtle, so we knew you were looking at titles as well. But speaking of titles, Subterranean Homesick Blues. It's on my short list. And of course, it is the cover of the Bob Dylan song. And I love what they did with this cover. I do. But,
I agree.
But it's not my pick. I ended up going with Walking On Down the Road because this feels more like a Chili Peppers song than the other songs do. The gang vocals on this are a highlight. But can we talk about the guitar playing on this? Imagine a country twang with funk vibes. Like, that's a hard blend to put together, but yet this song does it and does it well. And that's the thing. When you listen to the Chili Peppers, all of the Chili Peppers, you realize there are so many different musical influences that go into the melting pot that is. Like, I remember reading an interview that Anthony Kiedis said at one point that he wanted to be like the white James Brown, basically. And you can hear that in some of the songwriting in this. Flea, there's tons of different influences that are being pulled in there. And then eventually when you get John Frusciante in the band and Chad Smith, you get all these different musical worlds into this melting pot that is the Chili Peppers sound. And it just works so well. Mother's Milk, released August 16th, 1989. This is the first album with John Frusciante on guitar and Chad Smith on drums. The album hit number 52 on the Billboard 200. It's platinum in the US, silver in the UK, and gold in Canada. There were 3 singles off of this one. Knock Me Down charted the highest, hitting number 6 on the alternative charts. And at the 33rd Grammys, Higher Ground was nominated for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, but they lost to Janie's Got a Gun by Aerosmith, and I freaking love that song, so I can't really fault them for that. But whoo, this album is so freaking good. And obviously this is the one that kind of breaks them into that, that stratosphere of now being world-renowned, worldwide celebrated. Frusciante and Smith add so much to what is the Chili Peppers, and you really start to hear it here. So off of Mother's Milk, what did you go with?
Well, this is where I jumped on board. When I first heard Higher Ground, it just blew my mind. I was like, this band is just cool. And it just had such a unique sound. It was different than anything else I was listening to in 89. And so absolutely, I agree that Higher Ground was one of the singles.
Mm-hmm. Well, it had to be, right? I mean, when you cover Stevie Wonder, you have to put it out there for sure. But there was a moment on this disc, and I kind of lost my ish. Because all of a sudden, like, you sit there and you say, oh, so now we see where this influence came from, or you hear a song where it's like, oh, well, that kind of sounds like da-da-da-da, right? And I'm sure we're going to get to it a little bit later because, of course, Danny California, the verse is very much Mary Jane's Last Dance from Tom Petty. But there was a moment on this disc, and I had to stop, and I had to look down at the actual disc to make sure that Spotify hadn't gone over to something else. But it didn't. It didn't. Because there's a track on here. It's an instrumental. It's called Pretty Little Ditty. This is what Crazy Town sampled for their major hit song Butterfly.
Oh, yeah. I noticed it sounded familiar.
Like I'm sitting there listening to this, and of course it's like right near the end of the album. I'm like, did Spotify flip over to Crazy Town? Also, why would Spotify ever flip over to Crazy Town? And holy crap, it's still the Chili Peppers. And now you know. So yes, they did actually sample Pretty Little Ditty, but I love that. I freaking love that. It's also a really good instrumental. So if Crazy Town's going to, sample anybody, this is a good one to sample. I had Higher Ground and Subway to Venus on my short list as well as Pretty Little Ditty. I ended up going with Knock Me Down. And aside from the fact that it's a head bopper, and I love the addition of female vocals into the harmonies on this, the bridge on this song feels almost like an 80s Rush tune. And you know me. You know I love my Rush. All you have to do is go back and listen to our Rush episode, dear listeners, and you know I love my Rush. This is what got me, that Rush sound. There's a meme out there in the internet with a stack of 7 cassettes. Yeah, 1991, I said cassettes. And it basically said all these albums were released within like 2 months of each other. And in that stack of cassettes, released in 1991, is Blood Sugar Sex Magic, released September 24th of that year. Hit number 1 in Australia, Canada, and New Zealand, but only number 3 on the Billboard 200. It is 7 times platinum in the US, 6 times platinum in Australia, 4 times platinum in Canada, triple platinum in Denmark and the UK, double platinum in New Zealand and Spain, platinum in Argentina, France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, and Sweden. Stick around. There are albums where this is going to become a much longer list. There were 5 singles off of this one. Give It Away hit number 1 on the US alternative rock charts, and Under the Bridge hit number 1 in Australia and the Netherlands. And at the 35th Grammy Awards, Give It Away won for Best Hard Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal. Under the Bridge was nominated for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal, but they lost to Dung Baby by U2. So I can't say that's that song title or that album title without putting a little extra phlegm into the actual song title. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Yeah, 1991 served albums. Like, it was nothing. Like, the Black Album was in that list. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 were in that pile. Like, 1991 may be one of the best rock music years of all time, and this album is part of that lexicon. So yeah, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, no duh, it got a lot of acclaim and a lot of play, and this is probably one that everyone has in their collection. So off of this disc, what did you go with?
I believe this album was required, like they gave it to you when you joined Columbia House. Like, this was you get 10 cassettes for a penny, but you also get Blood Sugar Sex Magic. Through
the mail, no less.
Exactly.
Which, right now, some of our listeners are going, what's the mail, what's a penny, and what's a cassette?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I just realized the gravity of the situation.
Welcome to the show where we talk about things that no longer exist.
Christ, I feel old.
Uh-huh. Well, Oldie McGolderson, what's your pick off this old disc?
Okay, well, if you don't know, then you don't know me at all. I'm going to let you say my pick.
It's Give It Away.
Of course, it's Give It Away. My absolute favorite. I'm going to put this gauntlet down. It is my favorite song that you in any one of your bands performs live. I freaking love this song. Love it.
For the record, I actually did a count of the number of songs that I have played live in various bands. And I'm just talking cover songs. I'm not talking about originals, cover songs. And it's close to 200.
And this is my favorite of all of the 200.
It's not my pick.
Wow.
It's not my pick at all. I mean, yeah, it's on my short list, sure. So is The Power of Equality. I Could Have Lied to My Lovely Man. I went with Suck My Kiss.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with any of those.
Right? Like, this is stank face funk rock. And the bass line is actually singable. And I think it's one of those things where, and maybe cover band musicians will agree with me on this, there are some songs where you learn them and you gain a bigger appreciation for them. Give It Away. Okay, I was really proud of myself for being able to learn that song, because when you listen to it as a bassist, you're like, oh, this is going to be so hard, and you learn, and it's like, well, it's okay, maybe it's not that hard. But it's not my favorite song to play.
It's definitely my favorite song. It's the most danceable. And yes, I have a routine for this song. I freaking, you know what? As soon as the first note hits, I am up on the dance floor.
But you know what's interesting? Like, this is one of those songs that can be hit or miss depending on the crowd that you're playing for. And this is me speaking from my experience playing in various bars in a cover band. I have seen bars where this song packs the dance floor, and I have seen bars where this clears the dance floor.
I remember you played one gig, and it was me and some guy with a Red Hot Chili Peppers tattoo on his forearm.
Mm-hmm.
Just the two of us on the dance floor. It cleared the entire floor.
Yeah.
But it was it was kind of cool because it's like, okay, here's the Chili Peppers fans. Here we are.
You know what's funny? Here's your excuse. You just sit there and go, people saw the Chili Peppers tattoo and they figured the safest thing to do was to give you guys some room because they didn't want to be caught in the mosh. That's how we're going to spin this one.
It's not a mosh. It's more like a funk and groove.
the very Canadian version of Elbows Up in the pit. One Hot Minute, released September 12th, 1995. We have a member change at this point. John Frusciante is out of the band. Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction is now on guitar. The album hit number 1 in Australia, Finland, New Zealand, Sweden, and on the UK rock and metal album charts, but only number 4 on the Billboard 200. We haven't gotten a number 1 Billboard 200 album yet. It is triple platinum in Australia, double platinum in the US, platinum in Canada, France, Japan, and New Zealand. There were 5 singles off of this one. My Friends hit number 1 on the US alternative rock charts. Not my favorite album. Not my favorite album at all. And I don't know if it's just because coming off of an album like Blood Sugar Sex Magic, like think about that 1-2 punch. Mother's Milk, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and then you got to follow that up. Oh, and by the way, you got to break in a new guitarist. That's going to be a lot of pressure on the band to be able to put something out.
It's not like Dave Navarro's a new guitarist, though.
No, but new to the fold, new to the Chili Peppers. But no, like, I will admit that I was dreading this album when I was going through it. I did find a new appreciation for the disc. And maybe it's just one of those things where just like the singles didn't hit me, way back when they first came out. Because you expect Give It Away. You expect Suck My Kiss. You expect Under the Bridge. But this album didn't have those kind of songs. So it sat sour with me back then. It doesn't sit as sour with me today. But off of this disc, what did you go with?
I almost wonder if it's because they took a more melodic, more story-driven tone with the album. But that is exactly the reason for my choice of My Friends. This song tells a story, and it's just beautifully written. It is my go-to. I'm going to put it out there into the internet, into the world. This is my mood song. If I'm having a bad day, a crappy day, a sad day, even if I am having a good day and I feel like making myself cry, I will play My Friends.
Why would you want to do that to yourself?
You know what? It's my go-to. This is my absolute, I freaking love this song. I love this song. And if it comes on the radio, I listen to it and then I double back and I play it again. And I probably play it about 5 more times because it's stuck in my head after I listen to it. And then I have to play it again and again. I freaking love this song.
Not even on my short list.
No. That's fine. What'd you pick?
My short list is Falling Into Grace and Warped, but I ended up going with Shallow Be Thy Name. This song's a freaking banger. Like, this is where Dave Navarro shines on this disc. And I think that's what I was looking for, right? I was looking for something where Navarro shines. Flea is just locked in as he always is. Kiedis is on point. And the funny thing is, you mentioned that maybe this album didn't sit with me as well because this is where they went a bit more melodic. I love melodic Chili Peppers. I found, because we haven't even gotten to my favorite album yet. We've gone through Mother's Milk and Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and we have not gotten to my favorite front to back Chili Peppers album yet. So yeah. Right now, people are sitting there going, looking at the discography and going, wait, what's it going to be? What's it going to be?
There's a lot of ground to cover, though.
There is. A lot of big albums to cover, too.
And you know what? There's almost like different eras as the band grew and evolved and changed with the musical atmosphere. There's really not I think, a bad Chili Peppers album. But again, on any given album, the songs are so different.
Yeah.
It's like no two are alike.
That is always the fun thing too. Like when we do these episodes, especially when we have a band with a long discography that covers decades, is that you hear the evolution of the sound. You hear the band change through the years, whether it be through member changes, whether it be through producer changes, whatever the case may be, you hear the evolution of the sound. And in some cases, it's subtle, and in some cases, it is drastic as hell. I don't think the Chili Peppers is as drastic, but I think their more melodic, maybe groove, more mellow kind of sound really suits Anthony Kiedis' voice so well. But we'll get to that a little bit later.
See, I like his rap.
See, I know this is why we do the show as well, because you and I listen to music very differently. So it leads to interesting discussions along the way. Which brings us to Californication. Released June 8th, 1999. Navarro is now out and John Frusciante is back in the band. The album hit number 1 in Australia, Finland, Italy, New Zealand, Norway, and Sweden, but only number 3 on the Billboard 200. It is, check this out, 9 times platinum in Canada, 8 times platinum in Australia, New Zealand, and the States, 5 times platinum in Denmark and the UK, 4 times platinum in Italy, triple platinum in Argentina, Indonesia, and Ireland, double platinum in Austria, Brazil, the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, and Switzerland, and platinum in Belgium, Chile, Finland, Japan, Mexico, Norway, the Philippines, Poland, and Uruguay.
You could just sum it up by saying the world.
I mean,
the Chili Peppers have taken over the world.
There were 6 singles off of this one. Scar Tissue, Other Side, and Californication all hit number 1 on the U.S. alternative charts. And at the 42nd Grammys, Californication was nominated for Best Rock Album but lost to Supernatural by Santana. And Scar Tissue was nominated for Best Rock Vocal Performance by a duo or group with vocal, but lost to Put Your Lights On by Santana featuring Everlast. Then, at the 43rd Grammys, the song Californication was nominated for Best Rock Performance by a duo or group with vocals, but lost to Beautiful Day by U2. So once again, losing out to U2. But this is a monster return for John Frusciante and the Chili Peppers as a whole. What'd you go with off of Californication?
I agree with everything that you said, but I want to shine light on Parallel Universe. Isn't it a fun song?
It is a fun song.
It's a fun song. Road Trippin' is just so, like, you can actually, I don't know, that would put me in the mood to go road tripping. That the line, we got snacks and supplies. Like, it's melodic and it's fun. And it's definitely a cartoon.
Road Trippin' is the one song, I think, of any song in the world of music where you can judge the song by the title.
Exactly. And it fits. But of course, my pick, I went with Other Side.
This is actually the first time that we have locked up on this. And like, we're already like, I don't even know how many albums in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Halfway.
We're 7 albums in, and finally we sync up on one because Other Side is such a good song. This is the best Chili Peppers harmonies of their entire discography. Flea. Let's talk about this bass line. Let's talk about just the smoothness of this song. Like, yeah, Californication and Road Trippin' are on my short list, but Other Side is otherworldly. Like, this is, to me, if I'm drawing a parallel, because we're Canadian, I got to bring up the Tragically Hip. And of course, any Canadian listening to this or anyone who loves the Tragically Hip knows, like, they're big songs like New Orleans is Sinking, of course. Anything off of Road albums like Three Pistols is a great song. Locked in the Trunk of a Car. Yeah, sure. Those are all great songs. Nautical Disaster off of Day for Night. Other Side by the Chili Peppers is their Nautical Disaster. And Nautical Disaster is such a fantastic, tragically hip song I don't know if any other song could be my only one from the Tragically Hip. That's how good that song is. Other Side is that for the Chili Peppers. And yeah, I just drew a Tragically Hip comparable to the Chili Peppers. How very Canadian of me. By the way, released July 9th, 2002, this album, strap in, we're going to be here a bit, number 1 in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, Finland, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Scotland, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK, but only number 2 on the Billboard 200. It is 7 times platinum in the UK, 5 times platinum in Australia, double platinum in Brazil, Canada, Japan, New Zealand, Switzerland, and the US, and platinum in Argentina, Austria, Denmark, Finland, France, Greece, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, and Sweden. There were 5 singles off of this one. Both By the Way and Can't Stop hit number 1 on the US alternative charts. So 3 years after Californication hits, and it goes multi-platinum around the world, you got to follow it up. And I think By the Way is a good follow-up to this disc. Your thoughts on the album?
I love the album. It's nice to see that they've really found their sound. And as multifaceted as that sound is, every song is different. And the song that I chose is different and unique. And I'm not even sure I can say this properly, but I went with the Zephyr song.
Oh, the Zephyr song.
Yeah, you know what? The vocals are so amazing. Anthony Kiedis is so talented. And this song, his vocals just shine.
Yeah, I found that Kiedis gets better with age vocally, because there was like some of those earlier albums, I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're all over the place. He's really found like that soul to his voice. I had This Is the Place and Venice Queen on my short list, and I had to get a chuckle because there's a song on here called Don't Forget Me, and it's basically a slower version of Other Side. Like, if they had called it Other Side Part 2, like if they pulled a Metallica with The Unforgiven, I would have understood. But I ended up going with By the Way, because, oh my God, this is one of my favorite upbeat Chili Pepper songs. Like, I don't look at Other Side as being like an upbeat song. It's definitely a car sing-along song. And I know I have threatened shattering windows in the car while trying to sing the song, especially trying to hit the harmonies, because no, I don't. Flea is an underrated backup vocalist. He is the Michael Anthony of funk. And anyone who's listened to like classic Van Halen knows exactly what I'm talking about. But no, I'm going with By the Way, freaking killer driving song. Stadium Arcadium, a double album released May 5th, 2006. Hit number 1 in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Netherlands, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Japan, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Scotland, Sweden, Switzerland, the UK, and number 1 on the Billboard 200. Finally, it took them 22 years to get a number 1 album on the Billboard 200. Stadium Arcadium is that disc. It is 6 times platinum in New Zealand, 4 times platinum in Canada, Denmark, Ireland, and the US, triple platinum in Australia, Germany, and the UK, double platinum in Japan and Switzerland, and platinum in Argentina, Austria, Belgium, Brazil, France, Greece, Italy, Netherlands, Poland, basically everywhere. There were 5 singles off of this one. Danny California hit number 1 on the US alternative charts and in Canada, and Tell Me Baby and Snow Hey-O both hit number 1 on the US alternative charts. At the 49th Grammys, Danny California was nominated for Best Short Form Music Video but lost to Here It Goes Again by OK Go. The album was nominated for Album of the Year, but they lost to Taking the Long Way by the Dixie Chicks. But they won for Best Rock Album, and Danny California won for Best Rock Performance by a Duo or Group with Vocal. So Grammy wins for the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So what's your pick off of this double disc?
I went with Snow.
That's a good song.
It's a great song. It's my go-to. It's definitely on high rotation. And it's one of those songs that if I hear on the radio, especially the Red Hot Chili Peppers channel, I listen to it in its entirety. I start it again, and then it gets stuck in my head, so I keep going back to it.
This may be one of my favorite John Frusciante guitar licks from his entire work with the Chili Peppers, because it's this great little trilling guitar sound in there, but it's only on my short list. As well as, and these are the first times I've actually heard some of these songs, Wet Sand, Make You Feel Better, and 21st Century. I had to laugh with 21st Century. There are certain times you put an effect on a bass guitar and it has maybe an unwanted comparable or comparison to how it actually sounds. I know me personally, I have this tone on my pedal, on my stomp box for my bass. And if I mute the strings and I just start tapping muted strings, it sounds like two octopuses having sex. That's how my bass tone sounds if I just do that. This song, this bass tone, and the song is funky as hell, but it sounds to me like someone with like 3 rows of different frogs and 2 mallets and starting to actually hit the frogs and making them go croak, 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 croak. And that's the bass tone.
Maybe it's Yertle the Turtle.
I get it. It's a funk tone. I understand, but it sounds like squishing frogs. That's what the bass tone sounds like.
Squishy frogs.
I'm the guy with a bass tone that sounds like 2 octopi getting all handsy with each other. So yeah,
that's 8 hands.
that is 8 hands of handsy right there.
That's a lot of handsy.
But of course I'm going with Danny California because remember how I said that there were certain episodes of this podcast where you couldn't pick one of your favorite songs? Go back to the Tom Petty episode, which was like episode number 2 of this podcast. That's like 2 years ago. Damn. But did you know we couldn't pick Mary Jane's Last Dance because it was only on a Greatest Hits album?
Which is a crime. That's a great song.
It is a great song. And it medleys so well because the verse is the exact same thing. Now, obviously the chorus is very different in both songs, but they work well. You can medley the two. It's tons of fun. And I love this song. I love that groove anyways. So for Flea to just add a bit more to that Mary Jane's Last Dance bass line and the bridge. This is one of my favorite bridges from the Chili Peppers as well. Like going up to that, like vocally, it's a great bridge. And then it comes back really well, almost with a paranoid kind of run up to get back into the groove. This song has a lot of just little musical signatures to it that really kind of, tickle my ears. I'm With You, released August 26, 2011. We have another member change at this point. John Frusciante is back out of the band. Josh Klinghoffer is now in on guitar. The album hit number 1 in Argentina, Brazil, Croatia, Denmark, the Netherlands, Finland, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, Poland, Russia, Slovenia, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and the UK. And it hit number 1 on the US alternative and rock album charts, but only number 2 on the Billboard 200. There were 4 singles off of this one. The Adventures of Rain Dance Maggie hit number 1 on the US rock charts. And at the 54th Grammys, it was nominated for Rock Album of the Year, but lost to Wasting Light by Foo Fighters, which is actually my favorite Foo Fighters album, so I can't really argue with that at all. And do you remember how I said that we had not hit my favorite front-to-back album? This is my favorite front-to-back album of the entire Chili Peppers discography.
I am shocked because I was actually going to say the exact same thing.
Okay, so I'm not completely far out of left field on this one.
No, but I am shocked because usually we listen to music very differently. And this album, I remember when it came out, it was on high rotation. Like I would listen to the entire song, back to front, front to back, and hit repeat. It was probably, aside from Blood Sugar Sex Magic, it was the next Red Hot Chili Pepper song that I would listen to in its entirety.
Yeah, like this disc, and it's almost like there was a change in songwriting style. Like I found they focused more on the song and not so much on the riff and the groove as they did with John Frusciante. I love what Josh Klinghoffer brought to the band and what he was adding to the songwriting in this. And I found Flea was carrying a lot with the bass lines and the harmonies. This is front to back my favorite Chili Peppers disc as a whole. Not to say that it's my favorite song on here, but as a whole, this is my front to back album for sure. So off of I'm With You, what did you go with?
I have two favorites. I want to give a shout out to Factory of Faith because it's definitely, it's up there and in high rotation, but I went with Look Around.
Oh, that's a good song.
Because for me, it's like that hand clap.
Yeah, there's a lot. The middle of this album, like, it's a hamburger album. Even though like you have good songs on the front and back of it, it's a hamburger album. And the meat is definitely in the middle. I had Look Around, Brendan's Death Song, and Monarchy of Roses.
Oh, that's a good one too.
On my short list. But I'm going with Did I Let You Know for my pick. This is the horn solo in this and the female backing vocals again. Like this is solid songwriting from the Chili Peppers. From a band that knows how to put together a funk and a groove and a vibe. But this album is a collection of solid songs, and you almost hear the soul really coming through for Anthony Kiedis on this. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Covers EP, released May 1st, 2012, hit number 91 on the US charts. So this is just a 6-song collection of various covers that they have done, but didn't necessarily find themselves on album releases. So you have some songs with John Frusciante on guitar, you have one song with Josh Klinghoffer on guitar, and one with Dave Navarro on guitar. 3 studio tracks and 3 live tracks. So it's a very small collection, but a decent one to go with. And we've already talked about how the Chili Peppers handle covers. How was this collection for you of cover songs?
I liked it. I mean, it's not a go-to. It's not one that I would play often, but it was kind of like a nice little break because every song was recognizable.
Mm-hmm. So what did you go with off the disc?
I went with I Get Around. I absolutely love what they did with the vocals on this song.
I mean, that song's a catchy sing-along to begin with.
It is.
But I mean, like, obviously it's only a 6-song EP, so I don't have a short list off of this. But I ended up going with Search and Destroy. And I found that this felt more in the wheelhouse of what a Chili Peppers cover should be. I mean, obviously you take a listen to what they did with Subterranean Homesick Blues, and obviously Higher Ground, and even Love Roller Coaster off the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack. Like, those are all fantastic covers and they owned them. Search and Destroy felt like it was originally tailor-made to eventually be a Chili Pepper song. Like some of the others, they're fun, yeah. Some of them feel like a stretch. They feel like, hey, let's do this cover. It'll be really weird and fun, which is great. And as a live act, I understand it. Search and Destroy felt the most in the pocket for them for me.
Breathe deep. Imagine your legs more limber in Duluth Trading Double Flex Denim. Envision euphorically squatting for that can of suds, bending for your toolbox in a state of bliss, lunging for your laser level on a whole new level. Relax and allow the flex to fill you with ability. Find your inner flex in Double Flex Denim only at Duluth Trading.
The Getaway, released June 17th, 2016. There's a producer change on this one. For the longest time, they had been working with Rick Rubin, but they changed and started working with Danger Mouse on this one. The album hit number 1 in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Croatia, the Netherlands, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, New Zealand, and Switzerland. Hit number 1 on the US alternative and rock charts, but only number 2 on the Billboard 200. It's platinum in France, Hungary, Italy, New Zealand, and Poland. There were 4 singles off of this one. Dark Necessity charted the highest, hitting number 6 on the US rock charts. This is the last album with Josh Klinghoffer on this one, and there's still some really good stuff on here. It's not as complete an album as I'm With You, but there's still some good stuff on here. So what did you go with off of The Getaway?
I went with Dark Necessities. But I found this album kind of it found its California groove.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely a fun listen overall.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know that they had switched producers, I don't think you really would have known. You know, I mean, obviously Rick Rubin is a legendary producer. Like some of the best albums of all time were produced by Rick Rubin. Danger Mouse is no slouch unto himself. So it makes sense, right? I get it. I had Dark Necessities and The Longest Wave on my short list. I ended up going with Encore, and this was kind of a toss-up between this and The Longest Wave. Like, The Longest Wave, and we know, being a California band, we know that the Chili Peppers have that surfer culture down pat. The Longest Wave, if they had come out with this song and called it The Surfer's Lament, I would have completely understood, and the visuals would have made total sense. But with Encore, this feels more like that kind of live vibe that you want. This is a song I would love to hear live. And this is why I say that Anthony Kiedis has gotten better with age. He shines on this song. He absolutely does. And I think what Josh Klinghoffer brought to the songwriting process helped Kiedis as well. 6 years later, we get Unlimited Love, released April 1st, 2022. Josh Klinghoffer is now out with John Frusciante back into the band. The album hit number 1 in Argentina, Australia, Austria, Canada, the Netherlands, Croatia, France, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, New Zealand, Portugal, Scotland, Switzerland, UK, and on the Billboard 200. So the Chili Peppers have 2 number 1 Billboard 200 albums. It is silver in the UK and gold in France. There were 2 singles off of this one. Black Summer hit number 10 on the US rock charts. So coming back, John Frusciante back in the fold. But is it me, or does this album feel like of its time? Because keep in mind, it's 2022. We're still not, I don't even want to say tail end of the pandemic, but we're definitely getting some of that pandemic era songwriting feel on this disc.
I'm not going to lie, this album completely missed me, or I missed it. It was a first listen for me, the entire album. And the song I chose, Here Ever After, I found to be catchy and singable.
I get that.
I enjoyed it, but it was a first listen.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm listening to this, and we've heard this now. We've gone through some discographies where albums did come out during the pandemic. I mean, we talked about this on the Taylor Swift episode, right? Where the Tortured Poets department really felt, and so did Folklore, they felt like albums of their time. And that time was the pandemic. They felt very introspective. I was getting those vibes off of this one, which is why Let 'Em Cry kind of stood out for me on this. Like, there's some tasty musical bits to it. I love the subtle horn accents that are in here. But yeah, it feels like a warm brandy sitting in your windowsill kind of album. We end our journey also in 2022 with Return of the Dream Canteen, released of October 14th of that year. The album hit number 1 in Austria, Croatia, the Netherlands, France, Germany, New Zealand, Portugal, and Switzerland. Number 1 on the US alternative and rock charts, and number 3 on the Billboard 200. There were 3 singles off of this one. Tip of My Tongue hit number 18 on the US rock charts. So, I mean, they could have released this as a double album like they did with Stadium Arcadium. But before we get into our picks, I'm going to ask you this. What are your thoughts on double albums? Because I mean, I have my thoughts on them, but what's your thoughts? And this also, I guess, includes Stadium Arcadium. Would you rather a band release a double album, or would you rather a band hold off on those songs, or just make the best possible 12 or 14 or 16 album disc with the best of the lot that they recorded, then release a bunch of others on like a B-sides album?
Wow. I did not study for the exam. But when you say double album, to me, what stands out is the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, which were 2 separate standalone albums that would just get confusing because it's like, well, which cover, the blue or the red? Like, I don't know. I guess to answer your question, if it's a double album and the songs are good and it's listenable from like front to back, then that's fine. It's just it's kind of like listening to Taylor Swift. No disrespect, but 3-hour albums, Dream Theater. I'm looking at you, Dream Theater.
Oh, okay, but to that
and
same
they have
token,
2 songs on a 3-hour album.
You're not wrong. But no, even to that token though, like The Astonishing is a double album from Dream Theater. And it's my least favorite Dream Theater album of their entire discography.
But what is it? Is it that it's too long, or is it the quality of the songs? If the songs are good and it's a long album, then that's a bonus.
Yeah. Pink Floyd The Wall as a double album works. I could listen to that entire double album front to back and be fine. You mentioned Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. Can you imagine? Like we know, and it's been discussed. Like I've even talked about this on the radio. How Appetite for Destruction was such a mammoth album. Front to back, it changed the musical landscape of its time. Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, there were some standout songs on those 2 albums, but I don't think there's enough to justify 2 albums. If you had taken the best songs from both discs and made it into one album of just the best songs of Use Your Illusion, it may be a better album than Appetite for Destruction.
However, when you look at album sales,
Okay.
it's smarter marketing to put the better songs divided
Okay.
so you sell more albums instead of like blowing the load on one album and then, that's all you've got.
Okay, so with Use Your Illusion, okay, they went 2 different albums, and I understand that, right? You are goosing your marketing sales. I understand that. Okay, fine, fair. I still don't think it's 2 albums worth of good songs. Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness, that has enough songs for one fantastic, amazing album of the year, but as a double album, I find it meanders at points. Even when Kiss came out with the 4 solo albums all at once, okay, there were some bright spots. Ace Frehley's album was a bright spot unto itself, but have you actually taken like the best songs of those 4 albums and made it into one Kiss album? Maybe one of the best Kiss albums of all time. Stadium Arcadium, there were some bright spots on there, and I fully admit, had you just taken the best songs and made one disc, Stadium Arcadium may be the best album over I'm With You. Here, yes, they're separating it. There's differences, kind of like how Taylor Swift with Folklore and Evermore. Okay, fine. Even Metallica did the same thing, Load and then Reload. But there was time in between Load and Reload, right? Load was allowed to sit and gestate for a while, and then here's the other songs that we recorded at the same time. Return of the Dream Canteen. Had they held off on it and released it maybe a year later, then maybe you got something, right? It feels like Return of the Dream Canteen showed up and people were still listening to Unlimited Love.
I'm not sure that there was as many listens to Unlimited Love. It seems, Tip of My Tongue is one of the songs that you hear most often on the radio, but I can't remember any standouts on Unlimited Love that made radio play.
Yeah, no. It's, again, had you taken these 2 albums and picked the best songs and made one monster disc, then maybe, right?
Think of it, though, in 2022, when tours were getting canceled, and I seem to remember Red Hot Chili Peppers was hot at that moment. They were touring right when the pandemic hit. They were one of the bands that I was actually quite looking forward to.
But also like 6 years in between discs, right? So there's probably a lot of songwriting going on and probably a lot of home studio recording because there's nothing else you can do during the pandemic.
Okay, but my point, yes, you're right that it was probably, a result of having that time and creative energy. Why not? We have to put something out. But also think about the financial recoup that bands want to get the record sales again. They want to get new content out.
But there are no record sales in 2022. And then I'm not saying because think about it, right? We spent the middle part of this album, with me just sitting here saying, yeah, it sold platinum here and platinum there, and it's 9 times platinum here and 7 times platinum here. And here we're like, okay, cool. Yeah, this one's silver in the UK because people aren't buying albums anymore. They're just streaming them, right? The goal of an album, it seems in the year of our podcast, 2025, and even in 2022, is twofold. A, get them back in the public discourse. B, get them out on the road, because that's where the band is going to make their money. They're not making the money off streaming, right? They're making money off merch. Yeah, sure, but you got to get it on the road to get the merch. That's why I think you're seeing a lot of artists release singles as opposed to, a full album, right? You have some artists that are releasing, we're going to release 5 singles over the course of a year, and you're going to be talking about us for a year, and we're going to be on the road that entire time. That seems to be the way of music releases today. And then eventually you say, okay, well, here's 3 other songs as well, and we're just going to take all these and squinch them into an album. And that's great if it's keeping you out on the road and getting the bands the money to make more music. I fully support that. I don't know what you do in 2022. Like, everything changed, right? Obviously, yes. The days of Napster and LimeWire and the like changed album sales forever. You're never going to have another artist come out and have an album that changes the face of music like Thriller. As far as album sales go, no album will ever beat Thriller. Ever. Not even Taylor Swift.
She's trying, though.
Unless.
Wait for it.
Hear me out. Unless she doesn't put the album on Spotify or Apple, and you can only buy the physical record.
I've got it. Subscribe to the podcast and you get a direct link of each song for every subscription.
Hey, why not? Subscribe to Travis Kelce's podcast. Why not?
Why not?
Right?
That would be brilliant. Can we hook up with, hey, Pink, your 10th album? We'll support and endorse your 10th album song by song for every subscription.
Oh, man, if only that would work. First of all, people have to listen to us. Then we can talk.
Yeah, but if we've got like a powerhouse like Pink on our side, then I think that would happen.
Well, see, the only solution now is I just need to start writing songs and record them and,
Well, get on it.
Well, maybe if people would listen to the show, then we can actually afford to record the songs. There you go. That's what you got to do.
It's a vicious cycle, really.
It is. Okay, let's get back to Return to the Dream Canteen, because we have diatribed here. We have gone off on way too many tangents at this point.
I forget where we are.
Return to the Dream Canteen, what is your pick off this last disc?
Oh, I thought I already answered it. I went with Tip of My Tongue.
Okay.
It's, again, it's radio play. It's groovy. It's super fun.
Mm-hmm. When I listened to this album, I initially thought it was going to be Eddie. Because, of course, it's inspired by Eddie Van Halen and his passing. And, Frusciante really idolized Eddie Van Halen in the way he plays. And Eddie Van Halen had so many different styles in his arsenal as well. And I love the tribute that they did for him, right? There's so many little nods to that Van Halen era, and it's all good. But it's only on my short list. I mean, Roulette's also on my short list, but I ended up going with Afterlife. And this one kind of stands out because of the solid groove, the decent chorus. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say, oh, the Chili Peppers made a bad album. No, they don't make bad albums. But I think had you just narrowed it down to the best songs over these two, it'd be a fantastic album. Here we have some good albums with some good songs on them. So I went with Afterlife for my pick. But now that we've come to the end of our 41-year journey, Carrie, please remind our listeners what your 14 song picks were from this discography run. And if there can only be one Red Hot Chili Peppers song, what's it going to be?
Ooh, going back to 1984 and the Red Hot Chili Peppers self-titled album, I have chosen Out in L.A. From 1985, Freaky Styley, I went with Yertle the Turtle, because of course I did.
Turtle.
1987's Uplift Mofo Party Plan, I went with No Chump Love Sucker. Say that 5 times fast. From 1989's Mother's Milk, I went with Higher Ground. From 1991's Blood Sugar's Sex Magic, I went with Give It Away, because of course they did. 1995, One Hot Minute, I went with My Friends. From 1999 and Californication, I went with The Other Side. From 2002's By the Way, I went with the Zephyr song. From 2006's Stadium Arcadium, I went with Snow AO. From 2011's I'm With You, I went with Look Around. From 2012's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Covers EP, I Get Around. From 2016's The Getaway, I went with Dark Necessities. From 2022's Unlimited Love, I went with Here Ever After. And the other album of 2022, Return of the Dream Canteen, I went with Tip of My Tongue.
And if there can only be one Red Hot Chili Pepper song, it is...
It's not Give It Away.
Oh.
You would have lost money, hey?
I might have.
It's My Friends.
Real? I definitely would have lost money.
That is...
I would have lost money.
Out of all of the Red Hot Chili Pepper songs that I love, that is my go-to.
All right. Off of their self-titled debut album, I went with Grand Papi Du Plenty. From Freaky Styley, I went with The Brothers Cup. From the Uplift Mofo Party Plan, I went with Walking On Down the Road. From Mother's Milk, I went with Knock Me Down. From Blood Sugar Sex Magic, I went with Suck My Kiss. From One Hot Minute, I went with Shallow Be Thy Name. From Californication, I went with Other Side. From By the Way, I went with By the Way. From Stadium Arcadium, I went with Danny California. From I'm With You, I went with Did I Let You Know. From the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Covers EP, I went with Search and Destroy. From The Getaway, I went with Encore. From Unlimited Love, I went with Let 'Em Cry. And from Return of the Dream Canteen, I went with Afterlife. And by the way, if you want to hear all of these songs, go to our website, notthatbadcast.com, and go to the episode page for the episode that you're listening, if you're not already listening to it on the website already. Scroll to the bottom of that page. You will see the Spotify playlist that both Carrie and I have made, so you can listen to all the songs after you've listened to this episode. And by the way, if you are listening to us on Spotify, scroll down to the bottom of this episode page and you will see links to those playlists as well. Cool new feature in Spotify. We are just populating all of our past episodes now with a lot of those links. So if it's not there now, it will be later. So be sure to listen to all those songs. I've stalled long enough. This was an easy pick for me. I knew the minute you pitched this episode what my song was going to be, and nothing was going to change that at all. It's Other Side. It is absolutely Other Side. I freaking love that song. I love what Flea does. This song showcases everything that is good about Flea. And I know that's saying a lot from all the stuff that Flea has done over these 14 albums.
He's also a great actor.
He is a very good actor.
Very good actor.
Which, by the way, if you also follow our movie podcast, be sure to tune in tomorrow because we're going to be covering a movie with Flea in it in a decent role. But you're going to have to figure out which movie that is tomorrow. Dun, dun, dun. But until that time, Gary, thank you. And dear listeners, you guys know the drill. If there's an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, or an album you want us to cover on Spin, Shuffle, Skip, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast, or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com. And while you're there, check out our merch section if you want to help me raise some money so I can record songs for you guys. Until next time, she's Carrie, I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is There Can Only Be One, proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.